Hey everybody, welcome into Farm Cooking with Nan. Today we're going to be doing sort of like a Tuscan chicken. And I hope y'all stay with me and watch. And I thank y'all for tuning in this morning. Let's get with it, okay? And I'm going to tell you, if you've never made this before, you're going to love it. Our family loves it. I've got my pan heating up right here. I'm going to put me a little olive oil in there. And we're going to take care of my chicken first. I got a great deal on some chicken and I said, oh, yep. This full pack of chicken tenders was $5.04. So, do you think I could pass that up? I'll turn it down just a little bit, because I'm going to season it as soon as I get my chicken tenders in here. Now, you can use chicken breast if you want to. Some of mine may still be frozen a little bit in the bottom, because I had gotten this a couple of weeks ago. That's one big fat chicken tender. And I just froze it as soon as I got home. Because I thought, well, there's enough chicken in there. I might be able to make more than one meal out of. I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of butter along with that olive oil. Can't go wrong with a little butter, can you, honey? No, you can't. Okay, let's see what I can get loose over here. I'll have to use my hands, I think. Let me thaw it just a little bit more. Let's season up our chicken. I thawed it just a little bit more. Now listen, I'm going to put some smoked paprika on here. If I use anything that you don't like, you be sure and leave it out, okay? It's no big deal. Put your favorite seasonings on there. I'm going to put some Lawry's seasoning salt. Just a little bit. That's your salt, pepper, you know, just your everyday seasoning salt. I'm going to put some Italian seasoning with a fork all over. And when it starts to get a little bit, and this is a clean fork, it's not a dirty fork, Lord have mercy. You know I wouldn't want to contaminate my seasoning, so don't have a meltdown. Okay, let's let this cook a little while. While we're waiting on those chicken to fry, I'm going to go ahead and this is sun-dried julienne tomatoes. My hands I can't hardly squeeze. There we go. I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to chop these into small pieces. We want that flavor. We want these to be in smaller pieces so it just flows through the whole dish. Now I've got my spinach, and your spinach needs to be washed, and then I'm just going to give a rough chop. Sometimes, and I'll leave the stems in mine because they cook, but this is just what I do. I think it chops it down just a little bit it's going to wilt anyway, but who wants to get a piece bigger than that, you know? But it's, I mean, there's times and dishes that I put the whole leaf in. But I'm just going to chop it a little bit. You don't have to, okay? Just a little bit, and we'll get this in a bowl and get it going. Because now we've got our tomatoes that we've gotten out of our, the tomatoes we've gotten out of our sun-dried tomato jar. And if you say, well, Nan, I don't have those, you know what? Just dice you up some tomatoes or some, you got some tomatoes. You know what I'm talking about, them little tiny round, those little tiny round tomatoes. If you've got some of those, then just slice them in half and put them in there and let them cook. It'll be all right. There's more than one way. We use what we've got, don't we? I just flipped that one over. I want a good little brown sear on these. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Right there. Let's flip these over. And you know, young'uns, I just, you couldn't beat that price. I didn't go in the supermarket for chicken that day, but I can tell you the good Lord provided me some good price on my chicken. I ended up getting 2 of those, I got two packs like that. That was, I'm going to move you over, and I'm going to let this one brown just a little bit more in the center. If the outside is not doing well, come on, get on over there. A lot of the seasoning has went down into the butter and that mixture. Now, let's let her cook just a little bit more. Turn that over. Let's let her cook just a little bit more. Now, I'm going to remove the chicken from the pan. We've still got that good, yummy seasoning that has come off of the chicken. But we're going to show you what we're going to do next. This Tuscan chicken, I love it. Pop loves it too. And it's going to cook just a little bit more in the pan. This is going to do us for a few days. Look how pretty that chicken is. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn you down. I'm going to put, hang on just a second. I'm bringing it up just a little bit past low to about, not even a medium, but down here's low. And then I'm going to pour a little bit of the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes in there. Put a little bit of that for flavor. And then I'm going to just loosen up some of this good stuff on the bottom. That's your goodie, young'uns. That's your good stuff right there. Okay, I'm going to put, tell you something else I did. I had some tomato tomatoes. These are what I call tomatoes. Y'all may name them something else, but that's what we always call them. I'm going to throw a few of those in there and all my sun-dried chopped tomatoes. I'm going to push all that oil right off of my board. I don't want to lose any flavor. Just with the flat part of that spatula. Put it all on there. We're going to throw this in there. I might slice off just a couple of more tomatoes because I'm going to tell you, that's a lot of chicken. It was a lot more chicken than I thought it was going to be. You can just take these This is a little tomato knife. That's by Rada, or Rada, or whatever you want to call it. R-A-D-A. Okay. We're going to let these saute just a little bit in that butter and the goody stuff there. I'm going to throw in maybe about a cup of, this is chicken broth. Maybe about a cup of that. I might add just a little bit more. I don't know if I got a full cup in there or not. Then I'm going to add a couple of cups of heavy whipping cream. I might even grab a measuring thing so I can tell you. Sorry for leaving you. I don't normally measure, but I'm going to measure. Ooh, stop splattering. I'm going to measure out 2 cups and see if I use more than that or not. If I need some more, we'll have that right there. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit, bring it up on about medium, and we'll be right back. Let's season this up a little bit. I'm turned it on up a little bit. Turned it up a little bit. In case I need to add some more, I can add some more. But let's season it a little bit. I'm going to put some salt and pepper. I'll reach in there and get a spoon. My hands are a little damp from doing some cleaning while I was off the camera. Okay, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to put Pop loves pepper in this, so I'm going to put a good teaspoon of black pepper in that. Now you season it to your liking, okay? I'm going to put just a tad bit more of Italian seasoning. Sometimes I'll put a couple of packages of mushrooms in here. See, I'm loosening up all that good stuff off the bottom of my pan. Now I'm going to just take me a spoon and taste. Great. Perfect with the salt and the pepper. Now, I'm going to take my chicken, and I'm going to put my chicken back in there. You can use the fork to do that, but sometimes I splatter, and I would rather know when I'm turning loose of the chicken and when I'm not. We're going to add some other things right here in a minute, and we're going to put this on, we're going to cover it and let it cook a little bit, okay? So that your chicken needs to be about 75% done whenever you take it up. Let me clean that. Looky there. And then all that good right there, that's flavor in your dish. Put that in there. You want every little drop. Every little drop. And then I'm going to take my spinach, and I've chopped this. Y'all saw that a few minutes ago. You know, I didn't chop it into little smithereens, but I chopped it because sometimes if you don't, you'd have a big old thing plumb up here trying to push down. So that helps too, chopping it just a little bit with, I'm going to tell you something. One of my friends got me these probably a year or so ago. one of my friends from the cooking page, and she sent them to me, and I want you to know I use them things to death. There was 4. They're salad bowls is what they are, but they're just perfect. They are just perfect in size. Now, I did about half of a 10-ounce bag of spinach. Now, we're going to cover this, and I'm going to turn it down on almost like a low. And let me grab my lid. I'm sorry. I hope I got the right lid. Yeah. And I'm going to cover this, put it down on almost low, and just let it simmer for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Let that spinach, let it just wilt and go where it needs to, and give those little tomatoes time to pop and cook a little bit in there. Okay, I've got me some Parmesan cheese here, fresh Parmesan, and I'm just going to grate me some of this, and I'm going to put also some of the, because I'm going to put me some of the kind that you just shake in there, you know, the one that's already grated. I'm going to put me some in that, but this is going to go on the top. If you don't have fresh Parmesan, let me grab what I can use. I believe I just added a whole bunch of stuff and thought I had my camera on, and I didn't. I just added about a half a cup of heavy whipping cream, and I added about 3/4, not 3/4, but I just added 1/3 of a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And then I tasted of it to make sure it wasn't too salty. It was perfect. That's why I added just a little bit more of the heavy whipping cream in, is just to make sure I didn't get it too salty with the cheese. Okay, just got it off the eye. I've got about, this is a good 4 ounces of, I just washed, here it is. I've got some dishes over here where I've been washing, so don't pay any attention to that. I'm just going to sprinkle this around on top and let this melt. There's about 4 ounces of fresh Parmesan grated cheese. Now, you know, I told you, I thought I was filming and I didn't have my video turned on. I'm sorry about that. But again, I'm going to say what I added during that time, okay? I added about a half a cup of heavy whipping cream, which made 2.5 cups of heavy whipping cream I added. And I added, I'm going to put this lid back on here again and just let that heat melt that cheese. And I added, oh, what was it now? Oh, I added some Parmesan cheese, probably about 1/3 a cup. Maybe, yeah, maybe a little bit more, between 1/3 and 1/2 cup of the grated Parmesan cheese. I already put it back in the refrigerator. I was going to show you again. And then I grated 4 ounces that I just sprinkled on top. I also added about another teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And that's it. That is totally it. I'm going to let this sit here for a few minutes and let that, while that melts, and we'll talk to y'all. The other day I did a video and I was cutting some potatoes, and I made a remark, and I said, someone sent me a message and said, Nan, you need to cut, instead of cutting your potatoes into your hand, you need to cut them on a board. Well, I want to make this clear. I have been taught how to use a knife since I was a tiny child. My mother taught us how to hold those big butcher knives. She taught us how to peel potatoes with those. I mean, that's what we had to cut with. So I've always used my hands. So it's very hard for me sometimes. I think it's beautiful to watch somebody cut on a board, you know. And I need to try more, because I'm getting to where, y'all know, the arthritis in my hands, I can't hardly hold a knife sometimes. It just depends on what day you catch me on, whether I can hold a knife. But what I want to say is that I thought when the woman sent me the message, she sent me a real ugly message. And whenever she did, she said, you know, that I had needed to stop using my knife. I was going to hurt somebody, that I was going to cause somebody to be hurt, and it would be my fault and everything. So it really got me. So that day when I was doing that video, and I said something about, I said, well, she sent me a message and told me I needed to cut my potatoes, stop using my knife in my hand and start cutting potatoes on a board. I said, I thought it was just crazy. And I said, but, you know, and that's when I said, but, you know, then, you know, in other words, but then I saw that I did need to do this for some people. So that's why I did it on the board that day. I never thought that I would offend somebody, or that I would cause somebody that would send me a message and say, Nan, you know, I hope you understand that we do want to see you cut potatoes on a board because we have disabilities, and people in my family have disabilities. And she was telling me all about that. Just broke my heart. But I'm going to tell you something. My family's been through, has definitely been full of disabilities too. And we learn to, you know, there's times when I can't use my hand to hold a knife. And you know what? On those days, I make a different dish. I try my best to use my chopper. I try to use other things. I don't come right out and say, you know, that I have been around disabled people, because I have been disabled. So, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to hurt anybody for nothing in this world. So if I offended you by saying that, I'm so very sorry. I want you to know, I mean, I'm not calling anybody crazy. Oh my goodness. No. That's not me. That's not me. I know we all have our cross to bear. And if you say, well, Nan, I don't understand that. We all have our burdens. We all have things, maybe, as Paul said in the Bible, our thorn in the flesh. You know, that could be a disability. That could be something like that. My heart is always for people that have disabilities. I've always been for the underdog. Always. But I just want y'all to know I wouldn't do anything in the world to offend or hurt somebody. Nothing. And I will do everything I can. But sometimes it's very awkward for me to do my chopping on a board. And so I feel like a fish out of water. But I will try my best every once in a while to do that, okay? I just wanted to make sure that I've not hurt anybody else. If I did, I'm so sorry. I would never do anything to offend you all, okay? Never. I'm not going to air my family out in front of everybody, but I have been around disabilities. I am around disabilities every day. So it's easy to think, you know, that I don't understand, but I do understand, honey. I just don't get out here and tell everybody everything about me and everything about my family, because it's our business, you know. I love y'all, but I don't expect y'all to tell me all of your business. You know, sometimes we just have to keep things between us and the Lord, okay? How we deal with things. And I love y'all, and I want you to know that I love you, and I wouldn't ever do anything to offend you. And I'm going to take this off. You can see how that cheese just sitting there off the heat has already melted. It has already melted, and that lid is so very hot. Let me get a little tiny dish. Hang on a minute. Come on now. I don't want to get a big amount, young'uns. Once I get over here, I cleaned, and when I picked up my pan, I think I spilled some, but I try to clean as I go. Hang on a minute. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for your blessings, Lord. Thank you for this food that you've given me, Lord Jesus. Thank you for how good you are to us, how that you take care of us, God, that you know our every need. Thank you for walking with us in our footsteps every day, Lord. We love you, and we thank you for this food. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm going to take me a bite, and that I know that's going to be hot. If I don't run my... now this is in between lunch and we call it supper. We call it, used to when I was growing up, we call lunch, we call that dinner. Come and get on in here and eat dinner. Then we didn't call it dinner when y'all eat in the afternoon. We called it supper. It's a little different in the South. But just want you to know that I appreciate y'all. I'm going to pop some mashed potatoes, some green beans, probably a biscuit or some rolls, and that's going to be supper. So, hang on just a second. Had to get me something to drink. This will be my lunch, my protein, my veggies. Let me tell you, I need to try to get in as many veggies and protein as I can. That'd be good for all of us. Well, listen, I'm going to go. I'm going to put the lid back on that and set it over there. And then I'll finish up my other vegetables and things. This right here will make a meal with just some mashed potatoes. And just serve it. I'll try to get a picture of what it looks like on the plate, okay? For y'all. But just make it. And I had, what have I got in this? I doubt I've got $15 in that big pan. Really. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. Well, I'm going to go. I want you to know how much I love y'all, how much I appreciate you watching and sharing my videos. Oh, there's one more thing. All the fake pages out there that are using my videos, using my name, using my pictures. There's a new one out. It's called Farm Fresh. If you see it, it says Farm Fresh. And they are showing my videos. It is a scammer's page. Do not get on it. Do not join, because when you join, you're hooked up with a scammer. Another one is a new one, Farm Cooking with Nan, and it's got a big blue check, that big, right in the front of it, with stuff all the way around it. And these scammers have gotten so good that they're trying to replicate down at the bottom how many followers I've got. I do not have a blue check, okay? So when you see the one with the big blue check, that's scammers. Just gonna let y'all know that. I love yous, and I want you to know how much the good Lord loves you. Don't ever forget that, okay? I'll see you next time, if it's the Lord's will, okay? Bye-bye.